And we have started. For anybody who is jumping in to watch this video, I am Brent Allen, your host, joined by my good buddy Ren Dax right over there. Say hi, Ren. He
Hi,
says
Ren.
hi. This is a live recording for our Buck in the News show. This is not it's not like a full-born show, kind of like our instant cast show normally is, or something like that. This is just the recording. This is how we're going to do tonight's show. But we thought we'd throw it out here on YouTube and kind of let you guys come in and join us, and you can interact with us. We'll have the chat room open. So we keep an eye on that. Who knows what we may or may not say. So that's what we are going to have going on through that. So we've got a couple people joining us over there in YouTube land right now. So that'll be fun. We'll see you guys over there. All right, Ren. Why don't we go ahead and jump into our show here for Buck in the News. This is the recording of it, and we'll go live here in 3, 2. Welcome to the Pewtercast. This is our Buck in the News show for October 19th, October 20th, depending on which day you're listening to it. This is our show right before the Bucks take on the Browns right back here at Raymond James Stadium at home in Tampa. I am Brent Allen, your host, joined as always by my co-host Ren Dax. Ren, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good. Is the reason we're doing this live is so you don't have to edit it?
No, because I'll still edit it later.
Oh.
As Ren mentioned, we are live actually out tonight. We just kind of talked about it and said, hey, it might be kind of fun to throw it out on YouTube and open up the platform that we would normally have for our instant cast and let people jump in and watch. So hello to everybody who is watching the live recording of this over in YouTube. We see you guys over there. You guys can drop some stuff in the chat. Who knows? Maybe we'll use it here in tonight's show. But this is really just the recording of our Buck in the News episode. And for those of you who might be a little unfamiliar with how this works, this is the spot of the show, or the spot in our week, really, where this is the first time that we kind of get to talk about all the other things surrounding the Bucks. We spend a couple of episodes talking about the games. We get emails in from our fellow fans, and we talk about that. We have the final thought show where we get to talk to usually a member of the media or somebody a little bit closer, or maybe another podcaster like ourselves or something of that nature. So this is the one where we're talking about all the news. And the way we break it down is we start by taking a look at the transactions that the Buccaneers have had over the course of this week. And then we just kind of talk about the headlines, the big things that have come out of one Buccaneer place this week. And then we'll take a look at our injury report as we look towards the Browns game, and we'll finish it up with the only real predictions that we tend to do here on the Pewtercast, which is our inactives, trying to figure out who is actually going to be the 46 people that the Buccaneers take into live action against the I was going to say the Chicago Browns, but that's not right. Where are they from? Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns. It's getting late. All right, why don't we go ahead and start with our transactions?
We just started.
Do what?
We just started. Oh, it's getting late.
It's getting late. It's been a long day with kids.
This is the time we always record. Yeah, it looks like you've been busy today. You got a little sun on the old face.
A little sun, yeah.
You got a little hand stamp.
Yeah. So we had the kids out at the zoo tonight with the they do their boo in the zoo or their spooktacular or whatever that is. Yeah. It's okay. It's not bad. It's all right. It's a good zoo. I mean, it's got animals. It's a zoo. Yeah, kids like going. They got candy. But we were outside, and we got a guest coming in this weekend, and so we were busy around the house and getting things ready and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, that's it's been that day. Been a day for me. So, why don't we go ahead and talk about transactions?
All right.
How's your day? You got anything to share? Anything fun?
Absolutely not. Transactions.
Transactions. All right. Well, a couple of minor ones. We released from the practice squad a tackle, Jaron Jones. I remember talking about him when we signed him, but we have now signed a new guard, Reuben Holcomb. Ren, I got to ask, I know this is just a practice squad spot, but given all the troubles we've been having at the guard in the Beninock spot, do you think this has anything to do with that? Might we be seeing another transaction coming up here, another move maybe by the Buccaneers on their offensive line?
I don't know if like the signing of Holcomb means there's going to be a move,
The
along
downfall
the
of
offense.
Beninock.
Exactly. I'm not, gonna say that, especially since he was a draft choice, a few years ago.
Sure.
Um, but the Bucks have everyone's identified the weak spot along the offensive line, um, which is the right guard spot. So, yeah, he was here for training camp. I think all of it or most of it. I don't know if they waived him or he got injuries settled or whatever, but Holcomb's back. So
Right. So Hogan's back. The next day, we released running back Dare Ogunbowale.
right,
I hope we said that right. He was with us a little bit last year and came through. I remember there were spots during camp this year, Ren, where we were kind of like, he's actually having a pretty good camp too.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. For a week or two there,
Uh-huh.
with this, he looked good in special teams as well. His problem was he's a hammer,
Mm-hmm.
and we had Peyton Barber and Quiz Rogers who are supposedly hammer type runners. So even though he looked good, it was like, well, Wilson, like Sean Wilson, or this guy, or
Mm-hmm.
like I during the preseason, like I'm just calling him Dare,
Mm-hmm.
because Okwale like was too much for me. And then yeah, so he didn't make it. It was Wilson, like I said, because they needed it. He was more of a shifty back, I guess. So and then they put him on the practice squad, and he's been there ever since. Until now they don't need. They already got 3 running backs and 4 on the 53-man roster.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got some good news. Even though Dario Gumbale is no longer with us, I do happen to have his autograph here, Red, on the old autograph football that we got over the offseason.
Oh God, I remember that. Yeah, here you go, Mike Evans. They pass the Dario Cabal. You're like, Dad,
Stop it.
Dad, don't sign my football. I just
Not
paid
you.
like $40 for.
Right, not you.
Not you.
To replace Dario Ogunbowale, the Buccaneers have signed to the practice squad David Rivers, who's a cornerback. He has been with the team off and on a little bit, through. I don't remember. He was here through camp, right?
Yeah.
And he's kind of been back and forth, bounced in and out. So that's kind of the easy ones. But the big news, Ren, the big news on the roster this week, the Buccaneers released Freddie Martino. Not surprising. We know that we kind of they brought him back last week. Really kind of like for a one-off type deal. But we re-signed linebacker Mr. Plantar Fasciitis Devante Bond is back with the team.
Yeah, Bond was a draft choice. I think the same year Beninock was, or might have been the year before. Spent a year in IR.
Mhm.
He was a sort of like a 3-4 linebacker in junior college. Had these outrageous, sack numbers. Went to Oklahoma, flashed a little bit at Oklahoma, but he got hurt, broke his
Mhm.
ankle, I think, and now he's been with the Bucks. He's sat out the first year, like I said, and he's been in and out of the lineup due to injury, and
Mhm.
the injury waived him, and no one picked him up, and the Bucks waited their amount of time, and now
Mhm.
he's back. So
And he's mostly been a special teams guy for us. Like he's contributed pretty good on special teams. Also, he's the guy who kind of found himself on my shit list last year because he was the guy who allowed a guy back to block a punt from Brian Anger, and that punt wound up getting scooped up and returned for a touchdown. And it was all him. I mean, it was all on him. It was his fault. So, Devante Bond. But he is back. He is back with the team. So, welcome back, Devante.
that's what he practiced on
Sure.
the whole time he was gone. So
Is
not to worry, Brent.
is
See that
his
guy
punt
running
returns
right at you? That's trying to kill the guy that's 5 yards behind you.
right?
Get in his way.
Stop him. Just stop him. That's all you got to do, and we're good. So yeah, so that's it as far as the transactions. That big news really being Devante Bond being back. And we'll get to this a little bit later, but the question is Devante Bond, especially given his familiarity with the team, is he going to be one of those guys who's active immediately? Or are they maybe going to sit him for a week or so and see what happens? So, but moving on from that, headlines. Ren, I got to tell you, nothing really happened around $1 this week. Like nothing big.
Yeah,
It was a pretty quiet week.
Honestly, it was. I mean, obviously the big thing was Mike Smith getting fired and
Oh
replaced,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
that's been talked about so much, and it
Hmm.
happened like 4 or 5 days ago.
Right,
It feels like it's old news now.
right. Well, we had a special show about it.
Yeah, we
Everybody
had,
else had a special show about it.
yeah. So I mean, it's been talked to
Yeah.
death, but Duffner did have his first press conference.
Duffner did have his first press conference. So, I think for the most part, all the talk has turned, and rightly so, and thank God it has turned away from how bad Mike Smith's defenses were to what's going to happen now that Duffner's in. So,
Right.
you got to watch the press conference. I got to watch the press conference. I lost my notes from his press conference, but that's okay. We're going to make it through. But how do we feel about Mark Duffner now being the new defensive coordinator and where this offense or this defense, rather, may or may not go for the rest of this year?
How do I feel about it? I'll tell you in like, you know, 48 hours. That's how I feel about it.
Right,
I'll know
right.
after the Cleveland game. It seems like there's this narrative that everyone's pushing, like, okay, Mark Duffner's the new DC, but how much that really changed the defense? It's still Mike Smith's systems and
Hmm.
all that stuff. But what here's what I always is what I've been thinking. It's like the Bucks play a 5-4 defense, right? Or
Hmm.
yeah, 4-5. Sorry, a 4-5 defense. Or is it 5-4? It's five
It's
four.
four
No,
three.
4-3.
It's a 4-3
4-3.
defense. Yeah.
Sorry, God, what is wrong with me? 4-3, 5-4. I don't know where that came from. Play the 4-3 defense. Well, how many teams in NFL play the 4-3 defense? A lot, most
Half
of
of
them.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they don't play the same 4-3 defense the Bucks play.
Hmm.
So just you know, you can in Mike Smith's defense, everything that every other 5-4 defense, that's a joke, every 4-3 defense does is in his defense.
Uh huh.
You're just not it's just not the philosophy. He's just not implementing it. Playing like 7 yards off the ball constantly and behind the first down markers, like that's not, you know, you can do that in any defense.
Hmm.
So all the calls where it's like pressure or helping guys to running the guy all the way through your zone before the guy picks him up in the next zone, or let's just face it, being when a receiver catches the ball and it's on TV that there's a Buccaneer in the frame, like
Uh huh.
let's try to get to that. Like all these things I think can change.
Right.
So it's not like it's a 4-3 defense that, oh, this is only a special one that Mike Smith, like they're all the same. It's just how your philosophy and how you play it. So
Hmm.
and then also think about this, they're like, well, you're not going to do it's not going to change it to a 4-3, or excuse me, God, I'm terrible tonight, to a 3-4. But how many times last year did we hear, oh, there's no difference between a 4-3 and a 3-4? You just move the outside linebacker over the tackle, and there you go, you're in a 3-4. Remember
Hmm.
that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe they will run a 3-4. I mean, these guys have been playing defense their whole entire lives. There's nothing. There's not like this. There's not this new defense, this new 4-3 defense out there. You just keep the terminology the same. You just tell them to do different things.
Hmm.
So I think the defense will look different. And once again, like we teased about earlier
Hmm.
in a previous pod, no, VV obviously not playing nickel corner, but you know, you don't have to blitz the guys through the A gap, or you don't have to show it right when the team breaks the huddle. Like
Right.
Devante David and Quan Alexander don't have to be standing on either side of Via Vea when the quarterback comes to the line of scrimmage. You can wait. You know, you can play a little press man. Okay, you want to play off coverage? Let's just make it 5 yards. And you know what? Know where the first down marker is, and that's where you start to squat. You don't squat 2 or 3. You don't start to settle in 3, 4 yards past the first down marker. And these are just little things that will make the defense look really different.
Right.
Now, are they going to look different from when the ball's snapped, like where they're lined up? No, but no team does. So I expect things to look different for someone who wants to pay attention about what's going on as far as scheme and philosophy.
Yeah.
Uh, for these people going, well, it's Mike Smith's defense, so I guess we're just going to be stuck with, giving up the most yards and most points, and that's just it. And it's not Duffner's fault. I mean,
Hmm.
if you brought in a 5-4 or 5, why I keep saying 5-4, a 4-3 defensive coordinator in now, and he had to teach his defense, but just keeps Mike Smith's language, you could do it.
Hmm.
It's just like teaching one guy instead of having to teach, half the side of the ball. So I I really don't understand this, this thinking of nothing is going to change when obviously it will. Like I heard someone say on a podcast, like you had a fifth grade teacher, right, Brent?
Yeah, Miss Blamer.
Okay, I don't know what mine was, but one of those
She
two
had
was
big
better.
eyebrows, really big,
Okay,
drawn on, high arching, like all the way up her forehead, and then came down to the side of her temples. Mrs. Blamer. She was a good teacher though. Scary
right.
looking, but good teacher.
So like I don't even remember mine. So we'll say Miss Eyebrows was better.
Okay,
I mean, they're both doing the same job. They're both teaching fifth grade,
sure,
but one's better.
sure.
So, like, sort of to put a button on this about all these people are like, oh, you're just look for the same thing. I'm not looking for the same thing. I shouldn't be expecting to looking for the same thing. And if we do see the same thing,
Hmm.
then somebody dropped the ball,
Yeah,
and all fingers going to point at Duffner.
sure. There's a couple thoughts that occur to me in a lot of what you said. And I think I said this on the show, one of the shows earlier this week. I don't remember exactly which one, but everyone has always had a boss, and you've been in a job, and where you sit there and you think, huh, if I was the guy in charge, I would do this a little bit different. Here's how I would do this differently. Like everybody's had that experience. Duffner is not going to be any different. Yes, he talked about in his press conference how the entire defensive staff comes together to form the game plan. He talked about how, actually quite a few times he's like, I'm not going to answer that question because I don't want to give away anything for what we might be doing, or I don't want to give
Competitive
anybody
advantage.
competitive advantage, right? Um, so, and yeah, there's a lot of the same guys. The coaching staff is really all the same. They didn't bring anybody new in. They didn't change anybody as far as we know. So, he did mention that he's going to be down on the sideline, so that's going to be a little bit different. So there's going to be things that he does different. They're not going to tell us what they are ahead of time, and rightly so. So as you said, I mean, 48 hours. We got to wait and see what happens here in 48 hours. Um, eh, Hold on, I lost my train of thought because I know what I was going to say. Um, that was the other thing. One of the things that I remember hearing, I don't know, a couple of years ago, people talk about how the hardest time it is to game plan against a new coach is in their first year, because you don't know how to game plan against them. You don't know what they're going to do. So I would fully expect to see, at least here over the next bunch of games, uh, offenses, I don't want to say struggling necessarily against our defense, but, you know, not being able to predict what we're doing necessarily as much, because Duffner is going to do something different. There will be things that change, or at least I anticipate, just laws of nature, right? Like things will change. So people will have a harder time guessing and trying to figure out what he's going to do. Duffner hasn't put much on tape, and not in the last 15 years anyway. Hasn't put anything on tape as far as what he does as a play caller on the defensive line. So, or the on the defensive side of the ball. So, you know, I am of the opinion that we're going to see a different defense. I also fully think that there's when you make a change like this, attitudes change and the way people play change, and people's comfort levels change and things like that, or maybe just the simple fact of making the change gets people's attention, and so who knows what's going to happen. And here's the other side of it, the entire other side of this whole thing. These people could be right. This defense could look and continue over the next bunch of weeks to look exactly like it does. I don't think it will. I don't think it will at all. And if it does, then you know it it then we know what it would have looked like if Mike Smith would have stayed. You know what I mean? Like, because people are going to come back and say, well, then why'd you fire Mike Smith if nothing's changed? Why'd you even fire him if nothing's changed? Because if we kept him, there wasn't even going to be a chance for things to change. At least now there's a chance for things to change. And, as you say, it's hard to know what to think or what to feel until we actually see what they're putting out on the field.
Yeah.
So,
But besides that, his presser was pretty boring. Like
it
you said, it
was.
was like competitive advantage,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
Now we're gonna have a more aggressive defense, and then he's like, "Well, that doesn't mean we're gonna blitz more." Hopefully, like I said earlier, I hope that means somebody will be next to the receiver when the
Uh-huh.
ball's on its way to them. Like, let's
Right.
start there.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, don't we go into that? No. Yeah, no. Yeah, you're right. It was a standard kind of boring press conference, you know, outside of that. So, all right, a couple of other headlines that came out. And this is a little bit jumping the gun, but it's still, I think it's noteworthy. Dirk Cutter said, I think it was earlier today, Noah Spence will be active for this game. Now, here's a guy who's had some trouble this season. He's a guy that we've had a lot of high hopes for, a guy who had a killer rookie season, and then his plagued by injuries really the last couple of years. Is he going into his fourth year?
this is his third.
Third year. So he's been plagued by injuries and just hasn't been able to get back to it and do what he's been able to do before in the past, or shine like he's been able to shine before in the past. So Noah Spence will be active, and we'll go ahead and spill the beans a little bit because our other guy, Ben Curry, will be out. Like, he's active because of attrition, right? How do you feel about going into the game, Ren, with Noah Spence as one of our active guys, knowing we might have to lean on him quite a bit?
How do I feel? What are you, Jenna Lane? How does that make you feel?
Yes, I am a 4'11", 96 pounds, soaking wet, blonde girl.
She's taller than 4'11".
Is she?
She's got to be.
She's
above
tiny.
5. She's got to be above 5 feet.
I don't know.
4'11" is pushing like midget range.
I don't
like,
know.
Can officially be
She's
called
tiny.
a little person.
She's tiny.
She is small, but she's not. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm excited, I guess, to say.
She's feisty. I'll say that. Sorry, go ahead.
They put they deactivated Noah for most of the season, and he went up to Dirk Cutter and said, "Hey, what's up?" And Dirk Cutter told him what it was. They didn't necessarily agree on it, but I'm not 100% sure, but probably, like you said, it's because Vinny Curry's down. That Noah is going to get in there, but he could have made it on his own. And as his game was improving, Dirk Cutter said that what he needed to improve was basically consistency and do his assignment. So it's reading between that would say that Noah was freelancing a lot and not maybe taking care of his run gap or his pass lane, pressure lane, whatever you want to call it. So I'm excited to see him out there. He'll be playing, I'm assuming, left defensive tackle. But the Browns starting left tackle, which will be up against JPP, is a undrafted free agent rookie who's filling in for Joe Thomas. So since he retired, so I'm I'm happy he made it, and I want to see him on there. I hope he gets in more than 4 plays.
Yeah.
Because from what the Bucs are missing, at least package wise, along this defensive line, is just a pure speed rush from the outside. No one else can bring what Noah Spence can bring. Now, you have to do your job and be where you're supposed to be when you're in there. And if he can do that, like I said, I'm excited. I'll be keeping my eye on him for sure, and seeing when he's in the game.
So let me ask you this. I don't think we've actually got to talk about this in any of our previous shows. The defensive line. Jason Light goes out, revamps this whole defensive line. Literally, there's 2, maybe 3 people left from the old guard. It's all new guys. A lot of big, stout guys. We're very excited. Got a brand new defensive line coach to come in. This defensive line has looked average at best, below average.
Well, I would say overall, maybe a little bit above average.
Really?
Because of the run stopping.
Okay.
I think they've looked really good and above average in run stopping, and below average in pressures.
Okay.
You know?
So the struggles there, and I mean it's hard to know. So we're completely speculating when I ask this question. Is that was that a result of kind of being under the thumb of Mike Smith? Because remember, you asked Mike in training camp about who was going to control the line, and he's like, "No, I'm going to still control the line." Right.
Right. Yeah. Who's going to
Um,
make the line calls in the game?
right. So uh,
Well, we'll
I,
see. I guess.
yeah, I mean it's a little bit premature to ask the question, I guess, of what do we think's going to happen with the defensive line? I don't have a
Was it all Mike Smith's
clue.
fault they weren't getting any sacks?
I mean, but that's a legit question. Like this is,
Yeah.
I mean, this defensive line is stout, or at least it should be. This defensive line should. I mean, when they talk about wreaking havoc, I think that moniker at least 50% was based on this defensive line. Like because of what this defensive line should be able to do to opposing offenses. And they just haven't.
Yeah.
And if that's because of this overall, you talk about a culture, right? This culture maybe that was created by Mike Smith, or the clamp down. Maybe Mike Smith was too controlling across everybody, and I don't know. We'll see. We don't know. That's the problem, right? We just don't know. So, um,
Yeah. Now I don't know defensive football like Mike Smith does, and I don't know defensive football. Past what I see. Like I've never read a
uh,
book. I don't watch YouTube instructional videos. But with Mike Smith's defense, the feeling I got him as he's walking out the door is that it wasn't attacking or aggressive. It was more like get to where you're supposed to be, and everything else will work out. And I
okay,
just don't think that's the way you can win in the NFL defensively anymore. Like the
right,
offenses are too
right,
precise, they're too good. So it's going to sound stupid, but I feel like he plays defensive football.
no, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah. I get
always
what you're
like
saying.
it's like okay, I can attack the guy in the backfield, but I might miss the tackle,
Hmm.
and then my gap's open. So I'm going to slide over, 2 yards and wait for him to come to me 4 yards down the field. That way we know he won't get more than 4 yards.
Right.
And and like I said, I could be 100% wrong, but that's just the feeling and sort of what I get when I watch this defense. It's like it's they surround. It's like defense in soccer. Like they surround the ball
Uh huh.
and then just wait for the guy to fall on the ground because he runs out of options what to do with it. You know, it's
I
like,
don't
oh,
know
I
anything
can't run
about
there, I
soccer.
can't
I
run there,
can't
I
tell you
can't run
that.
there. Oh, I'm caught. I guess I'll
Right.
just dive forward on the ground. And there, it's not where the guy's running and someone just takes a good angle and runs the guy down and it drops him for like a 2 yard loss. It's okay. Come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me. Okay, you're at me. I'll tackle you. But like I said, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, you got around me. Never mind. I'm not going to tackle you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
and I mean, and that's something else that I really want to see out of this defense is could these guys freaking tackle somebody? Can they wrap somebody up and not let them slip through their hands? Can they actually take an angle on these guys and bring these guys down or get them out of bounds? Like, I don't know if Mark Duffner is going to be a guy that can change that or implement those kinds of changes. Because as we say, the guys are our guys, right? You know, I thought Tom Bassinger's idea of that quote was real interesting from our final thought show earlier this week. That it's
it's like,
either
is that a veiled shot at Jason Light every time he says
right.
that?
It's like my guys are
Yeah.
my guys. I mean, that's who they got me to play
Oh,
with. I don't know. Or
the guys I'm stuck with.
right, my guys are my guys, and run hell, I'm gonna go with them. Like, which one do you mean, man? Like, how does that actually work? So, all right. So, yeah, I think at the end of the day here, Ren, there's a ton of stuff we could talk about with this whole Mark Duffner thing and the defense and what it could do. But honestly, we got to wait 48 hours to find out, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
with that, we got one more headline and then we'll move on. We actually talked about this briefly on last week's Buck in the News show. Team captains, they actually had a vote. The team captains are
did.
out. Um, we got a few right, got a few wrong. Actually, one of them we debated a little bit and landed on the other side. But the team captains voted in are Quan Alexander, Levante David, I think are kind of representing the defense. We've got Mike Evans and Ali Marpet representing the offense, and Adarius Taylor, who, although he's a defensive guy, he's a big defensive guy, as presumably he's representing, I guess, the special teams
Yeah,
as a
I think he
captain.
plays all the special teams.
Does he?
Yeah,
Because I don't
I would
know.
imagine.
Yeah,
I don't know either, but he's the special teams guy. Like,
right.
I'm having super problems with my glasses. I don't know what's going on. Hang on.
So I mean, with that, you've got Adarius Taylor, who, under normal circumstances, Kendall Beckwith would be playing in his spot. So Adarius would be the fourth linebacker on the team, meaning he's playing special teams. So it makes sense that he plays all the special teams. With Kendall hurt, Adarius is stepping in and playing more, but that doesn't necessarily relieve him of his special teams duties. So it makes sense to me that even though he's one of our starting linebackers right now, he still does play those special teams, which would get him over there, kind of as that special teams captain, I guess.
Yeah.
Would you, out of all of these names,
Mm-hmm.
is Adarius the biggest surprise to you? Because it is to me.
Who's the other defensive besides Levante?
It's Levante, Quan, Mike Evans, and Ali
Quan's
Marpet.
the biggest surprise.
You think he's a surprise?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because he's not very good. I mean, he's on our team. I like him. I like him on the team. I understand because he's sort of, he's the big talker. I think if Levante David was more outspoken, that second captainship would probably go to somebody else on there.
Okay.
I am a little shocked that none of the new guys got one.
Like JPP or Vin Curry or Jensen.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, yeah.
Curry wasn't get it.
Yeah.
But like Jensen or JPP, I'm a little shocked. I can understand because, Allie's like the player rep and he's been there.
In the union and all that, yeah.
Yeah, and every time they talk about Allie, it's like, oh, he's a smart guy. So I get that. Mike
He
Evans
just got the big contract, so he's top of everybody's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Evans, arguably the best player on the team overall.
Is he?
Arguably, yeah.
Yeah, you might be right on that. I hadn't actually thought about who the best player on the team is, but I think for so long the presumptive person has always been Gerald McCoy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, I could go with that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Levante David, we picked him because he had to pick two guys. Like we picked, I think, JVP and Levante David. For selfish reasons, I didn't want Gerald McCoy to get it. Especially since this year was sort of like an earning it and not being like grandfathered in or a popularity contest. And we've talked about it how I think Gerald McCoy is having his worst start of a season of the past four, of this being the fourth, like those 3 years and this fourth one.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying he's doing terrible. I guess you could say he's underachieving. It just hasn't been as strong as his other seasons. And what's really weird is he usually starts out of the gate really strong and then tends to disappear till about week 12, and then he shows up again. As far as like you see him making big tackles for loss or getting to the quarterback, and he kind of usually disappears in the middle of the season, at least on the stat sheet. So I just, he's not playing Sunday. I'm laughing because I'm picturing this in my head. So he's not playing Sunday. I doubt anyone after the game is going to go up to him. I don't know if he'll be in the locker room, but find him and be like, "Hey, Gerald, what do you think about the captainship?" Even though he didn't play, it's like you got all these other players to talk to. No matter how the game goes, win or loss, these are the guys you really have to talk to.
Right.
So we're going to have to wait till Wednesdays, in front of my locker presser that he holds court. And I know he declined last week. He's like, "I'm not doing it." I wonder if he found out then that that's when the captain's vote was, or he just didn't want to talk about his injury. That'll be
Or I mean,
interesting.
because it was also right after the whole Mike Smith instance, and that's what everybody
That's
was
true
talking
too.
about at the time too.
That's
You
true.
know,
That's probably more what it was. Yeah.
yeah,
But someone's gonna have to ask him how he feels about the captainship, and he's gonna make that person feel stupid. Like,
sure,
oh, come on, how long you been covering the Bucks? You don't know me all this time. You guys trying to start stuff.
uh huh,
He's gonna take it very defensively,
right,
like he takes every kind of criticism, and it's not even a criticism. Like, it'd be really hard to pose a question to Gerald McCoy about not getting the captainship without him making you feel like you're attacking him.
hmm
So
and it's one of those
but I'm really
questions.
looking forward to it because that
Yeah.
was one of the reasons, selfishly, as a kind of like a jerk, I want to see what he says and how this goes down. Like,
Uh,
so
yeah,
that's that's
you'd
the
be like that.
only thing I'm like, Gerald McCoy didn't, not that he didn't earn it, and he's not a nice guy, and he's not a good player,
hmm
above average player, very good player, but just to watch him to have to have that conversation in front of cameras about him
hmm
not being a captain. Oh.
Yeah, and and it's one of those questions that the media like they have to ask that question.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of their job. You've got to go ask him that question, and he'll go down that route, and then he'll also give you yeah, man. Listen, I support Levante's my best friend here on the team, and Quan, I love Quan, I love Mike Evans, I love Adarius, I love Ali. Those are my brothers. I mean, he's gonna give them that. I'm right behind him. I'm fully supportive. Gerald, you know, did you think it
Oh,
was a
huff and
mistake?
puff and moan about how he didn't earn it.
Yeah,
No, I just didn't earn it this year. It's like, it's not a popularity vote. It's a production vote. My production wasn't there. There's so many different ways it can go, and I want to be there for
Gerald McCoy. So Adarius Taylor, we got Quan. Um, Quan doesn't Quan doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't.
Well, there's no one left.
If well, I mean, what surprises me is I'm more surprised that JPP specifically on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
I'm more surprised that JPP wasn't one than I am that Quan is one. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so because I mean, having watched him, having seen what he's done this year, having watched him in training camp, I mean, I don't care if he's got a C on his chest or not. He is a captain of this unit. He just is. Levante doesn't shock anybody either. Mike Evans doesn't shock anybody. Allie, you and I had that conversation last week between Allie and Ryan Jensen. And I threw all my support behind Ryan Jensen right in the middle of this past game against the Falcons.
Yeah, you did.
And I'm going to stick by that with you, Ren. I Ryan Jensen, but I go back to there's a reason I thought Allie in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense. As you mentioned, he's the union rep. He's been around.
He's gonna be around.
He's going to be around. He's got that big contract, so everybody's congratulating him. It makes sense. Adarius is the one I didn't see coming, though.
I
it's just
didn't
like
either. I didn't
interesting.
give much thought into it. Like, I picked
True.
Ryan Smith
Yeah.
because he was sort of that tag team with Josh Robinson the past
Right.
couple of years
Right.
as Gunners.
Yeah.
And I didn't put much thought into it. So when I saw Darius Taylor, I was like, huh. I'm like, oh, okay. I
hmm
get it. He does start and base if base happens to start the game. He's quote unquote one of the 11 or 13, 14 starters, whatever you want to say, on defense. And he probably I'm going through my head. The only special teams he might not play is field goal and extra point.
Okay.
But I'm sure
Sure.
he's on kickoff, kick return, punt coverage, punt return. I'm sure he's on all that stuff. So
Right.
that's all.
So the other one. So technically, teams are supposed to have 6 captains, and this is
Mhm.
only 5. I think presumably that 6th man, Cutter for I think the last couple of years has kept that last spot open, kind of as his own personal one, and he has them rotating out throughout the course of the year.
Right.
To
If
be a captain.
somebody plays their ex team,
Right.
or somebody had like a really good game last week, or maybe they're playing in their hometown, like can't
Right.
if this like the Chicago game happened later, like Cam Brake would fill in because he's got like 50 people in the stands there.
Mm-hmm.
Would be the sixth captain. So
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, it'll be rotating, and there'll be a plethora of reasons why that person is picked from week to week.
Sure. And hopefully we don't have to talk about it every single week because
We won't.
Yeah.
Because we won't even know until game time.
Exactly. All right. So moving on with that, that's really got all the headlines. Ren, was there anything else you wanted to tackle before we move on to the injury report for this week as we're looking towards the Browns game?
No.
All right.
No. Good.
All right. Very good. Well, looking at the injury report, we'll go ahead and start with the Browns because they're the ones we care least about. They've got a couple of guys.
Chicago Browns.
The Cincinnati Browns.
The Charlie Browns.
David Njoku, tight end. It was on the injury report along with Tanner Vallejo. As a linebacker. Those guys were both full participation. They'll play this particular week. J.C. Treader was out. He is listed as questionable with an ankle injury.
That's a big one.
Is it? Because I don't know this guy. This is their starting center, I assume?
He is their starting center, and I looked on their depth chart, and there's not another center listed. So this will be someone's like third position.
Okay.
So this would be like, I guess, Evan Smith coming in and playing center.
Okay.
If you think Allie would be our second center, you know what I'm saying?
Right. I don't think he is, though. If Jensen goes down, you think Allie slides over?
It depends who's playing.
Who plays in right guard?
Right. Depending on if they're active or not.
Right.
So, so it's going to be whoever's doing it. It's going to be their third position, or I guess their second position. They're not a center, and they're not practicing as a center, pretty much every day. So that could be a big one, especially with the interior of no Gerald McCoy. You got V of A and Bo Allen in there. So I'll be interested to see who it is. I'm gonna before the game, I'll tweet something out, see if this person's ever played center before, because we saw Ali struggle early on when he moved over to center. And who's going to make the line calls? I mean, you got a new center, and you got a quarterback who's played like 4 NFL games. Big advantage.
There you go. And then the people that the Cleveland Browns have out, EJ Gaines. That's a big one.
It is a big one. He's their starting corner. Yeah. And I looked on the depth chart. I told you that already. Their backup to him has not played a snap. Or he may have, but he doesn't have any stats. He has no tackles, nothing. He's a rookie out of Ferris State, Division II, Ferris State Bulldogs. Yeah, so this guy is a rookie. I think he went undrafted, and he might be starting. So
let's line him up on Mike Evans all day long.
Well, they got, the fourth pick in the whole entire draft. Ward, Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
Corner. Yeah. So if I was Cleveland, which I'm not, I would have him follow around Evans all day long, and then just try to lock him down, and then just hope for the best.
You're right, because then you still got D-Jax you gotta worry about. You got OJ, you got Brait, you got Hump, you got Godwin. Yeah. So, and not to mention we might have a little bit of a running game this week too. So.
Yeah, I don't think people keep talking about Cleveland's, got a good defense. Cleveland's got a good defense. Cleveland has people have put 40 points on Cleveland twice. I think they have kept New Orleans to their lowest point total, which I think was 21 or 24 or something like that. It was close. New Orleans had to come back up against them. And I think they have a lot of nice pieces on defense. I just don't think with these key injuries to a cornerback, that's really it. But without a cornerback and a rookie starting the other side, and it's just what the weapons we have.
Sure.
Find the weak spot and just keep attacking it.
And listen, Bucs fans are certainly no strangers to having to start your 2 rookies when you get out there. So, all right. Also on this defensive line, out for the the Cleveland Browns, Joe Schubert.
Yeah, I thought I knew that guy.
Yeah.
And then I went and looked, of course, once again. Hey, I looked at the depth chart. Yeah. He's last, in the middle linebacker.
So he's
spot.
not He's not a guy who's
It'd be like
Jack Sitchy, Riley Bullough.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It'd be like, well, Bullett's not. Yeah, it'd be like Jack Sitchy's out. I'm like, okay,
Okay.
so
Well, whatever.
find another guy to cover punts. Got him.
Right. Right. And then wide receiver Rashard Higgins, he is out as well with a knee injury.
No big deal. He
No
played
big deal
third.
on those. But EJ Gaines obviously being a big one. And potentially this JC Treader, the center. So those might be the two spots on
I
their
don't think he's
team.
gonna go because he didn't practice all week.
He was limited on Friday, according
Oh,
to the.
was he
Yeah, he
limited
was
today?
limited on Friday. Yeah.
I must have read it wrong.
But
Okay.
he's listed as questionable, which according to the chart of everything, that means he is likely to play. Doubtful means he is likely not to play. So
No, they took that away. Didn't they
did
take that away last year? There's no such thing as doubtful. It's either you're out or you're questionable.
oh, is it? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, then
Yeah.
I have misunderstood that. Okay, cool. Well, then he's questionable. So yeah, we'll
Questionable
see.
means he's gonna make the plane trip.
Right,
we'll see.
right, and we'll see. Okay, so Bucks fans, keep an eye out on what's happening there. He is number 64. If anyone wants to keep an eye on that center spot, maybe give you a little tip off. But let's quit talking about the Browns. Let's talk about our beloved Buccaneers. Jameis Winston, DeMar Dotson on the injury report both this week. Jameis on for a hip injury. DeMar still has that nagging knee injury. Also has a new shoulder injury. Both were full participation by Friday. They will go. No problems there. Carlton Davis, Jordan Whitehead, two guys from our injury report last week, Ren, with a hamstring and a back injury on Carlton Davis. Carlton Davis had a groin injury with a new back injury. The groin injury has been removed this week, but they were both full participation by Friday and are listed as questionable. So what do you think? Are these guys playing this week?
I think so. I think Davis will finally go. He
Yeah.
was out last week, and I think Whitehead, who was like limited, and then he was out on Thursday, and then he went back to full on Friday. That could have been anything. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I hit my head. I hit my head on
Right.
the cabinet. Like, okay, just sit out today. So
Right.
so I expect both those guys to go.
And Jordan Whitehead coming back in as a safety. I got to tell you, Ren, any help that we can get in the safety spot back there, I'm all for.
He played okay last week.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just saying it's the safety position once again turns up as I feel like the position where we seem almost thin at, like the most thinnest, the thinliest,
Most thinnest.
yeah, the mostest thinnest. And so I don't want to see people that are in that position sitting out of the game. Now, big news, Ren. Big news. Vin Curry and Gerald McCoy, defensive linemen, both did not participate all week and both are out. Obviously, we don't know anything to the detail of Gerald's calf injury, but he did go out in the middle of last week's game, or kind of towards the end of the game, went out with that injury. So this is something that is still lingering from that. Wasn't Vita Vea's injury a calf injury as well?
It was.
I wonder if it's the same thing.
It is.
Anyway.
They're both calf injuries.
No, but whatever the injury is, like if it's the same injury, like to both, not the same body part, but like you could hurt your knee and I could hurt my knee, but it'd be two different things.
Yeah, but there's only like one thing to a calf. It's just a soft tissue injury.
You could tear it, you could rip it, you could pull it, you could strain it, you could bruise it, there's lots of stuff you could do to it. Anyway, point
those
being,
are all degrees of the same thing.
That's how you get into ripping it. But anyway, what that means is they're both out. Both of them gone. This defensive line, half of our starters on defensive line are out this week. That is not necessarily a good thing, or is it? Because as we talked about a little bit earlier, Noah Spence will be in. I don't know that he'll be the starting defensive end, but he will be in. And
Probably not.
Vita Vea, though, from everything that I keep seeing, everything I keep hearing, Vita Vea is going to be the starter in McCoy's place. So it'll be him and Bo Allen. We'll see JPP on one side, and who's back on the other side? Golston? Is it Golston?
I would think, at least to start.
Yeah. So Vita Vea, how do you feel about, or what are you thinking about Vita Vea getting his first start? No Gerald McCoy there to take up any snaps.
How do I feel?
Are you excited? Are you interested to see? Does it
I
make you
think they'll be
nervous? What?
fine. I think him and Bo Allen are gonna have to play a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I think that guy Nacho and there was another player, not Edmonds.
Nassib?
Uh,
Damone?
not
Harris?
NASA will start the opposite side.
That'll be Nassib. Okay.
We'll start the opposite, which will be
Yeah.
I'll be fun to see. Two guys with high motors.
And Nassib, by the
Really
way,
crashing
came
the
to us
edge.
from the Browns.
Yeah, they drafted him in the second round a few
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he'll be the captain. There we go.
There you go.
Carl Nassib. We figured it out.
We'll start our new prediction. Who's the sixth captain this week? No, we won't.
It'll be fine. I really would like to see how BVA does because I think he's going to get a lot of snaps. And there has been one or two clips of the two games he's played of him just tossing,
Yeah.
opposing offensive linemen, like they're a bag of feed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'll be paying a lot of attention to the defensive line this week.
Yeah.
Like watching them live to see how they're doing, especially the interior. But I know Cleveland runs the ball a lot, as in like they're fourth in the league with like 137 yards per game total.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't talked about it yet. Carlos Hyde, the guy who gets most of those yards, was traded to Jacksonville today.
Yo, yeah, that was the big news I had down listed, and before I lost my notes, Carlos Hyde is gone. So
yeah. So they want to get Nick Chubb the ball, which he's more of a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And then their third down back out of the backfield guy is Duke Johnson Jr. By the way, if you're in a pinch for a running back this week in fantasy, go get Duke Johnson Jr. He's their third down back, and the Bucs linebackers can't cover. So I'm predicting 20 points if he gets a touchdown. If no touchdown, I'm taking like 13, 14. No one cares. So, but V of A, I think it'll be fine. I do. I know Cleveland has put a lot of money into that offensive line last year.
Mm-hmm.
They went and got like the best guy on, the guy on the market at all positions. So I don't know. I just think it'll be fine. I like our run defense, and nothing that I've seen. They have problems with the speed back, not the power back. Like Jordan Howard was no factor in Chicago game. Tariq Cohen, on the other hand, like would just bounce it outside, no one's there, and he's outrun everybody for like 10, 15 yards. So the speed backs that bounce it outside or can get to the edge against the Buccaneers, those are the guys with the problems, not the power guys.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I hate to leave this show with less than, or with anything, with anything more than, we'll wait and see what happens. We don't know. 48 hours, because it's a big question mark this week. So, Ren, you mentioned predictions, so let's get to that as we wrap up the show.
Right.
7 inactives as we head into the game. We got 46 guys that we're going to take in. Suiting up, 7 won't be. We already know that Vin Curry and Gerald McCoy are out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, good sir, I put it to you. I need 5 more guys. Who do you got sitting out this game against the Browns?
Our perennial outers who are out every week, Ryan Griffin and Litke.
Mm-hmm.
I have Sean Wilson also out this week, the running back.
All right.
And I think because all the defensive linemen, the new guys, are probably going to be activated because of 2 injured defensive guy, I think that's going to push Justin Watson back to the inactive list.
Okay.
Wide receiver draft pick out of Penn. And I'm just going to try to speak this into existence. And I don't think it's going to happen. But we're going to activate Kappa, and we're going to deactivate Caleb Benenoch. So I feel really good about all of my picks except for that one, but I just don't care. It's just I'm just kind of like when I started talking about like, Quan's not really as good as we all think he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 3 weeks later, now everyone's like, everybody all over Twitter, all the podcasts are like, is Quan as really good as like he can't cover? And it's like, yeah, you're right, he can't. And this is me jumping on this bandwagon now. It's like activate Kappa, put Bennock to the bench, and then of course, just I don't know. I'm not there yet. I want Rodgers deactivated. Like, there's no reason for
Yeah,
him to be activated.
right,
There's
right.
not. Like,
I'm with you.
you can find somebody. Like, Sean Wilson gives you just as well. I guess the pass blocking. Just keep Barber in there. Sean Wilson will give you
Hmm.
has more chance of doing stuff for you offensively and in the kickoff return than Quiz Rodgers
I
does.
agree. I
So
100% agree. I'm with
so
you. I am with you mostly across the board. Obviously, Vin Curry, Jordan McCoy. I've also got Ryan Griffin, who is out. I am going to make Dirk Cutter uh, make me wrong, prove me wrong. So I'm sticking with Alex Kapp and Michael Leedke on
mhm.
the inactive list, which, truth be told, you kind of are as well. You're like, I don't think they're going to do it, but I'm going to
Yeah,
speak it into existence. So, yeah, until they do it. But I agree that, sheer curiosity wants me to see Alex Kappa in there.
yeah.
I don't know that he's any better than Beninock. I really don't. I remember watching him in training camp. Um,
You look like a
he
rookie.
looked like a rookie. Yeah, I mean, he didn't look stellar. Like, we saw these great videos of him coming out of the Senior Bowl and just having a couple monster blocks and different things like that. But when we saw him in action, he looked like a rookie. He looked like a guy who's developing. But the problem is Caleb Beninock looks like a high schooler out there right now. Like, it's not okay what we're seeing out of Beninock. It's
I'm not
just
gonna go as
not.
far as a high schooler, but
Okay,
yeah, it's
fine.
definitely not okay.
D3 college guy, Ali Marpet, ate his lunch every time they faced him. Like, it's just not okay. That's
No,
my
it's not
point.
okay.
It's what we're seeing out of Beninock is not okay. But not having been there for practice, not seeing what Alex Kappa looks like, I can't say that he's any better than Beninock. I'm just sheer curiosity. I'd like to see that. But Michael Leedke also as well. I've also got Sean Wilson. I think Sean Wilson is going to be deactivated, but I'm 100% with you. I really want to see them flip flop that with Jaquiz Rogers.
Yeah.
And then the last one that I'm going to go with, I've kind of got the split. It's kind of a either way because at this point we're really kind of to that spot of like, who else do you deactivate?
Yeah.
So I've got it as either Devante Bond, just because he's kind of brand new back to the team, but he's also been around for a while. He's played for a while with the team. So I could see him sliding right back in, not having any issues. And if he does that, he's really coming in as a special teams contributor,
Yeah.
which would then, to me, do what you said, which is push Justin Watson back out. Because right now, Justin Watson being active means he's just a special teams contributor when he's behind the
He
other
was
four
in. He was in
guys.
a play or two.
Yeah, a play, great.
Just saying.
Awesome.
Bond's not gonna get in a play. But yeah, Justin Watson was in as a receiver for a play or two.
There you go. Okay,
Yeah.
cool for Justin
So
Watson.
all right, I'm not like
No,
trying to
I
defend,
know, I know, I know.
but I do. I'm gonna have to make you pick one.
Between Bond and Watson,
Yeah.
you went with Watson, so I'll go with Bond
Okay.
just because of that. But yeah, yeah, I, I lean more towards the he's still new back to the team side, but
Sure.
there's a big reason why that's not even going to be a factor with Devante
Well, that's
Bond
the
this
reason
week.
Jameis didn't start Chicago because he's still new.
Well, yeah, had to, he had to wear his pads for a half of a game before he could get used to it again, right? All right, Red. Well, that is going to do it for our show here, our Buck in the News show. I want to say thanks to everybody who's joined us. Thanks to everybody who joined us over in YouTube. This was really just kind of an impromptu thing. If you didn't know that we were broadcasting on YouTube, listen, here's how you can do that. Go over to youtube.com/thepewtercast. Click the subscribe button, and then click that little bell notification icon. And that way you'll get like an email or a text message or something every time we go live. And you go, oh, the Pewtercast guys are up. Let's see what they're doing. And you'll be able to click right in. So you guys had a great chat over there. I was looking at and seeing you guys doing everything over there. So very cool. This will go up on the podcast feed. This will be out across all the various podcasting platforms that we're on, which is just about all of them, really. Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Podcast Addict. Obviously, iTunes is our biggest one. But so you guys can catch the full show there. Ren, why don't you tell everybody out there where they can get a hold of you this week on the internet?
Best way to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I feel like I said that too fast. REN_DAXT. Hey, should we do our outro like the Pewter Report guys did their commercials this week? Did their sponsors this week? Did you not listen to it? The second show?
Maybe not. I don't. They all kind of run together right now for me.
Well, you would remember that because you know how they have.
I might not have just gotten to that
they'll be
part.
talking to me like, you know what? You know who needs a beer? Mike Smith needs a beer. And if we were going to take Mike Smith for a beer, where would you go? We go to Ford's Garage. But this time they were like, how about, Scott? How would you tell us about Ford's Garage? And be like, Ford's Garage is like total radio voice. I think they're lashing back at the people who on Twitter that say they don't like their transitions and stuff.
That's funny. That's fine. All right. Well, here I'll try to do the thing for Twitter.
I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football.
And if you'd like to contact me on Twitter, I am at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias out there. And if you want to get a hold of the show, you can find us at the Pewtercast on Twitter or at facebook.com/the Pewtercast. Or if you want to join the growing community of people who are supporting the show, find them over at patreon.com/the Pewtercast. Okay, I'm going to quit that.
Reach for the stars, but always keep your feet on the ground.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
That's the way there you go. That's good.
All right. Hey, listen, you guys want to join us? We'll be back live after the game, 10 o'clock Sunday night, right here at YouTube. We'll also be live on Mixler. And, of course, we'll be going out on the podcast feed right after for our Instant Cast show. We've got a special guest coming in this week on the Instant Cast show. Not sure how that's going to work out. We'll figure it out. But, guys, until then, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Talk to us during the game on Twitter. Go Bucks!
Don't talk to me. I will not be on Twitter.
Hey, how do I turn this off?
How do I turn this off?
Bye, everybody.